Yes. The first man to submit Izzy. What's next? So
Africa's first champ.
So here's the thing with DDP, which I love, right? Dricus. So I watched a interview with him, and they asked him to rank himself as a fighter. And do you know what he gave himself? Out of 10.
10.
No. That's what's crazy. So they were interviewing everyone. They were asking like Ty Tuivasa, and he's like a 10. He's like, you know, you have to like believe in your skill sets. And Dricus is like, dude, I'm like a 6 or 7, dude. He's like, I have so many fundamental flaws. By the way, Dricus has so many wildly absurd fundamental flaws.
So the fight was tit for tat going into that final stanza, and Izzy kind of lands a combo, and Dricus lands a takedown with his face. So like, did you watch the actual takedown?
Yeah.
It's not even like a scramble. He basically face plants, and he's like, "Oh, I'm super strong. I'm just gonna grab you with like almost an ankle peg and grab you back."
Dricus is the epitome. He's so self-aware. Yeah. I'm a huge Dricus fan.
I'm a massive fan
from the
too.
jump. He was self-aware in the sense that he does have a lot of work to do fundamentally.
Yep.
His power is insane.
Yep.
His durability is insane. His heart is like unmatched, and in that fight it played out like a lot of his other fights where it was like you just saw like eventually he's gonna catch this fucking guy.
His chin is up in the air. He throws grenades, but again he's tough enough and his chin is solid enough that he can walk through a lot of stuff, and his power is ridiculous.
Not a lot of stuff, like everything.
I know.
So and his footwork, like it's horrible to say. It's borderline on bad.
Yeah.
And at the end, like if Sheerdog did a great play-by-play where they're like, he's throwing hooks to the point that he whiffed and is falling over, but he's catching him and he's just hammering him. And as soon as he got the takedown with his face, he applied a neck crank. And
no hooks in. Like he's just.
I think he might have had one.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like a full. He didn't have full back control,
and he didn't have his arm under the chin. He just
crushed his face. So what's next? This is where it gets interesting. So we got, we're going to cover this more later, but Poatan in his Easter Island furrowed brow post that he's like, I'm coming back to 85. I want it, right? And Izzy rematches his easy sell, even though he was like humble Izzy at the end. And you know if he had won, he would have humped him in the ass.
He's 4-4 in his last 8.
Yeah, but you got to look at the fight.
I understand.
You know, and then do you know who Drake has called out? Bobby Knuckles.
Oh,
he was like, I feel like Robert Walker.
First time around was
a great fight.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And he's like, I feel like he's been done dirty, but I feel like that's to
him
me
trying to pick an easy fight. Yeah.
So it is interesting. There's a lot of potential matchups. I think an Izzy rematch would be interesting because I thought the fight was amazing. I think Poatan going back to 85.
What about Strickland?
That's another one. Strickland really, out of everyone, is the most, I think, worthy.
I had Dricus winning that fight, but a lot of people had
Sean. I had Strickland.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I didn't disagree with the decision. It was close.
There's your story for a rematch.
So you have 4 viable options right off the bat. You have Izzy rematch would be viable. They did hate each other. There was a lot of bad blood, and they could say they squashed it at the end, but I think they wouldn't have squashed it if Izzy won, because Izzy is like way more humble in defeat than he is in victory.
Yep.
You have Poatan, which we're going to cover later. Sorry, Loki over there having like a dream. Poatan is going to win his next fight. We'll cover that later. And he's interesting coming back at 85. You have Bobby Knuckles, who's always awesome. Everyone loves Robert Whittaker.
Yep.
Nobody dislikes Robert Whittaker. And then you have the, perennial villain and a guy that has wins over Izzy, had a questionable decision loss over Dricus already, and Sean Strickland, and really Dricus asked for a fight with Bobby Knuckles instead of a fight with Sean Strickland, who is really more worthy. So that's an awesome fight. Any one of those 4 options is viable and interesting. What do we got next, Rob? The heel hook. Junior Tafa scream for technical submission. So a lot to unpack here, right? The scream for a technical submission. Mark, unified rules.
If you scream,
this isn't a fucking new thing, dude.
It's a technical submission. So if you just scream bloody murder, the fight's over. That's it. If the ref doesn't call it, that's actually the wrong play. The rules state that you can yell the word tap, or you can just go, ah.
So I think back to as old as WEC and Chael Sonnen and Paulo Filho. And I think Chael might have even screamed for Jeremy Horn at one point, because Jeremy Horn beat Chael Sonnen like 48 times, even though Chael's still undefeated. Uncle Chael. No, if you scream, it's a verbal submission. Especially the thing with heel hooks too. Heel hooks is not a lot of gradients. You rip that shit. And I was talking to Rob about this. And guys like Paul Harris, Rustamir Paul Harris, would just rip people's fucking limbs off to the point that he would hold it too long, and the UFC would fucking cut him eventually off wins. So, no, a verbal submission, if you scream, it's a wrap. So, Homeboy was pissed after the fact, so much so that...
Slapped Walker in the face, flipped him off during the decision.
So, but leading up to the fight, there was a lot of shit talking between the two, and a lot of it...
Tafa was like... talking shit about Johnny Walker, and then Valter's like, dude, I beat your ass, I'm gonna beat your brother's ass too.
That is like such a schoolyard shit talking move that I absolutely love. Walker was like, you want to talk shit about my brother? Number one, I made you scream like a bitch. And he's like, afterward too, he's like, yeah, he landed a slap. He landed a slap when someone was holding my arms by his side. He was like, that's the only strike he landed the whole time, which I loved. And he's like, good news. He's like, you want to talk shit about my brother? Number one, I fucked you up. I'm going to fuck your brother up now too. So yeah, the one thing I was disappointed in is the broadcast team. The broadcast team was composed of like DC doesn't know
Dominic Cruz.
Like it's all like
Anik, like guys that know what they're talking about.
It's Anik and two like long-standing former champions. Yeah. Like you guys don't know that a verbal submission consists of people screaming. Like of course you know that shit. Like that was really shocking to me. So an easy sell is brother on brother.
An uncontroversial controversy.
Yeah. So I mean that's pretty straightforward. That's a wrap. So much so that Piper's like, I'm disgusted. I'm out of here.